Millionaire witnesses Caretaker stand up for disabled girl, incredible family secret revealed. The town buzzed with excitement as the extravagant charity gala loomed, but beneath the surface glimmering facades, Jamie felt the weight of every eye watching her. She glanced at Lily, an angel-faced girl in a wheelchair, whose laughter illuminated the darkest corners of Jamie's heavy heart. Lily had been abandoned emotionally by her wealthy parents, leaving her fragile and neglected. Jamie, a devoted caregiver, poured her heart into every interaction, each touch gentle, her smile a beacon of warmth. Yet, the whispers about them, the way the town perceived Jamie's role as simply a caretaker, not a guardian, crushed her spirit. As the grand night approached, the air was thick with anticipation. Jamie stood at the window of their small home, watching the extravagant decorations bloom around town. She felt Lily's small hand slip into hers, an anchor to reality in a storm of privilege and prejudice. "What if they don't see you, Lily?" she whispered, her throat tight with fear. Lily's eyes sparkled, but Jamie could tell they held questions no child should have to ask. Then came the night of the gala, a spectacle of glitz and glamour. When Jamie wheeled Lily through the opulent doors, the chatter quieted, eyes darting like arrows toward them. Jamie felt naked under their scrutiny, her chest tightening. The lavish chandeliers seemed to mock her and Lily's humble existence. "Look at that," a polished voice cut through the air, dripping with disdain. "Why would they bring her here?" Jamie's heart raced as anger surged, a low growl in her throat. This was not just about her, it was about Lily, who needed love, not judgment. She felt a sudden surge of courage and stepped forward, her voice steady. "You have no idea what you're talking about. It's not about money, it's about love." Across the room, billionaire Robert Steele, renowned for his philanthropy and hidden struggles, stood frozen. His gaze lingered on the scene unfolding before him, a confrontation that challenged everything he believed about his own worth. Jamie's voice rose above the whispers, drawing him in as their tension crackled like electricity. "You're part of the problem," she spat, frustration cracking her tone. "Your money doesn't excuse the lack of empathy." As the words left her lips, silence swallowed the room. Robert felt a hot flush of embarrassment and surprise. This was not what he'd expected at his gala. In her passionate defense of the precious girl at her side, he sensed a depth of pain and sacrifice he had long buried. For a moment, time stood still. Jamie's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her. She was tired of being the caregiver struggling against the weight of society's prejudice. Robert studied her, feeling an echo of his own struggles reflected in her eyes. "Who do you think you are?" he shot back, anger flaring but a hint of curiosity flickering beneath. As their debate heated, secrets that had haunted both families lingered in the periphery. A long-buried connection, tangled in misunderstandings and heartache, waited to surface. Just when Jamie felt the walls closing in around her and the crowd started to murmur in discomfort, she took a breath, the clarity of purpose grounding her. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As reality crashed back in, Jamie turned back to Robert, her face fierce and determined. She felt the support of the crowd shift. They were listening now, full of questions. Yet, uncertainty hung heavily, a storm brewing, with every heartfelt word. She pushed back against the paradigm crafted by privilege. But as they stood there, emotions raw, could they find a way to bridge their worlds? Could this moment ignite change not only for Lily but for themselves? Would the revelation of their intertwined past force the community to confront its own biases? The answers lingered just out of reach, and Jamie, with a heart full of love and resilience, braced herself for whatever storm lay ahead. The tension in the room was palpable, waves of discomfort crashing against the initial shock of Jamie's words. Robert, still simmering with indignation, found it hard to shift his focus away from the passionate woman before him. Jamie's eyes shone with determination, every fiber of her being radiating the love she had for Lily, a love that stood in stark contrast to the judgments thrown their way. Love doesn't come with a price tag. Jamie continued, raising her voice slightly, igniting a spark of interest among those who had initially looked away. You think that money can fix everything, but it can't give a child what she truly needs: a family who cares. The crowd murmured, even those who had been skeptical began to talk amongst themselves. Robert felt his heart leap at Jamie's fierce defense. He was accustomed to the polished veneer of the wealthy, where emotions drifted just beneath the surface, hidden behind designer suits and extravagant cars. But here, in the rawness of the moment, he saw a power he both admired and feared. "Who are you really?" Robert challenged again, finding that flicker of curiosity growing into something more profound. It was a question layered with his confusion and acknowledgement of his own shortcomings. "I'm Jamie," she replied, steadfast. "Nothing more, nothing less. Just a woman trying to give a little girl the life and love she deserves. You mistreated her by thinking money was enough, Robert. And I won't stand by and let you judge us when you don't even know our story." As those words left her lips, Lily squeezed Jamie's hand tighter, her little face brimming with a mix of confusion and pride. "Jamie," she whispered, uncertainty tinged with admiration. Jamie bent down, brushing a lock of hair from Lily's face, grounding herself in the fact that she had always vowed to protect her. Robert felt an unfamiliar twist in his gut, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years, a sense of accountability. As a child of privilege, he had long been shielded from the harsh truths of life. In Jamie's eyes, he saw a reflection of his own lost childhood, a reminder of his distant memories filled with laughter and warmth that his wealth could never redeem. "Wait." Robert began slowly, a realization dawning. "What do you mean by a family? Are you saying Lily?" He hesitated, the air thick with implications. "We're family," Jamie interrupted, her voice steady as she asserted their bond. "You don't need blood to have family, Robert. Love makes a family." In that moment, she witnessed the shift in Robert's expression. A flicker of understanding crossed his face, a glimmer of recognition, as if he stood on the precipice of something life-changing. The crowd was no longer on the edge of judgment, they leaned in, intrigued. Just then, a voice from the back of the room pierced through. "Then why don't you adopt her?" It was someone's bold proclamation that hung like a question mark in the air. Heads turned sharply, and Jamie felt a chill creep over her. Adopt. The word resonated, dangerous and daring. Jamie's heart raced at the thought, layers of doubt unraveling as hope began to bloom. Could this be the beginning of a journey that would lead them to something brighter? Meanwhile, Robert processed the weight of that question. He felt the glimmers of possible change flicker in his mind. What if he could tap into the emotional depths he had buried to become a better man? As the gala's applause began to swell around them, echoing the rising tensions of the evening's discourse, Jamie realized they were standing at a crossroads. Could Robert step away from his entitled past to embrace a new role that would intersect with hers and Lily's? Would the community wake up to the beauty of different kinds of families, challenging their misconceptions? Amidst all the uncertainty, hope flickered like candlelight, fragile yet fierce. The answers awaited, and Jamie could either close the door to a potential future or step through into the unknown. Would Robert take that leap? Or would he choose the safety of his wealth, leaving Jamie and Lily once again alone against the storm? The energy in the room shifted, as if a warm breeze had just swept through, lifting spirits and igniting conversations. Jamie felt the eyes of the crowd bearing down on her, their uncertain faces mirroring her own nervousness. But all she could focus on was Lily, whose gaze sparkled with hope and curiosity. Adopt her, the voice echoed in Jamie's mind. The idea was as intoxicating as it was terrifying. Could she really stake her heart on such a bold step? What if the world wasn't ready for it? But when she looked at Lily, she saw a future woven with laughter, love, and nurturing, the very essence of what had been missing in both their lives. "Adopt," Robert murmured, as though tasting the word for the first time. It hung between them, heavy yet frayed at the edges, trembling to be grasped fully. Jamie caught a glimpse of change in his eyes, but would he dare to reach for it? Lily, still clutching Jamie's hand, tilted her head. "What's an adopt?" she asked, her childlike innocence cutting through the heavy atmosphere. Jamie knelt down, her heart aching, yet joyful, wanting to protect her from the complexities of the world. "It means I could be your mom forever," Jamie said softly, feeling the gravity of her words sink in. "You'd always have me, no matter what." "Mom," Lily repeated, a shy smile forming. The word was new yet familiar, filling her with a sense of belonging she had long craved. Robert watched this moment, and Jamie could see him grappling with an internal struggle, his brows furrowing as he processed what it meant. As applause faded into whispers, Jamie spoke again, her voice steadying. "Robert, if you really want to be part of this, think about why you're here tonight. Is it just for the accolades? Or is it to make a real difference?" He glanced around at the guests who had been watching intently, some now looking away in discomfort, while others leaned closer, eager to witness what would unfold. Robert swallowed hard, wrestling with his emotions. "I want to change," he finally said, his voice almost a whisper. "But what if I can't be what she needs?" Jamie saw the vulnerability beneath his bravado. "You won't know unless you try. It's not about being perfect, it's about being present, being here for her," she urged. "You have the chance to redefine what family means. For both of us." A glimmer of realization sparked in Robert's eyes. He stepped closer, breaking the invisible wall that had kept them apart. "What if we met with Lily's social worker?" he proposed, a tremor of anxiety tainting his tone but layered with determination. "We could explore this together." Jamie's heart raced. Could this really be a turning point? "Together," she echoed, a warm feeling swelling in her chest. They both looked at Lily, her expression hopeful and eager, but the moment shattered when another voice piped up from the back again, someone skeptical, someone always questioning. "What do you know about raising a child with special needs?" The crowd turned, eyebrows raised and tension rising anew. Jamie clenched her fists, both angry and scared. Thoughts whirled in her mind. She wanted to scream that love was all they needed. But now was not the time for defensiveness. If they were to forge ahead, the community needed to embrace this change. "Love has no barriers," Jamie shouted, surprising even herself with the fervor in her voice. "And if we're willing to fight for each other, then nothing can stand in our way." The crowd hushed, some looked moved. Jamie's words lingered in the air, stirring emotions she could feel woven into the fabric of the gathering. As Robert looked at her, she saw his face transforming, the walls around him crumbling piece by piece. A momentary smile flickered on his lips, representing hope and possibility. "Let us take this step then, Jamie." "Together," he said, the firmness in his voice wrapping them in a shared commitment, but just as relief washed over Jamie, a sudden pang of doubt gripped her. What actual support would they find? What obstacles lay ahead? And more importantly, would the community truly embrace this new family they envisioned? With the crowd still buzzing with unsettled thoughts, Jamie felt a mix of excitement and fear as they stood on the brink of a new chapter. Would they have the strength to face the challenges that awaited, or would doubt and prejudice threaten to pull them apart before they even began? The answers were still out of reach, but one thing was clear: the journey was only just beginning, and every step forward would have consequences they couldn't yet fathom. As the silence hung thick, Jamie took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She looked at Robert, whose expression had shifted from concern to determination. But doubt still whispered at the edges of her mind. How would they even begin to navigate this journey? "Yeah, so what if he fails? Imagine that." The skeptical voice came again, and Jamie's fists tightened at her sides. This was not just about them, it was about Lily, the little girl whose trust spun like a web between them. "Anyone can be scared," she called back, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her chest. "But courage isn't the absence of fear, it's facing it head-on." The room seemed to sway with her pronouncement. Some inched forward, intrigued, while others pulled back, still unsure. Lily squeezed Jamie's hand tighter, her innocent eyes searching their faces. "Does that mean I get a mom and a dad?" she asked, her voice small but filled with hope. Robert knelt beside Lily, brushing his fingers through her hair. "It means you'd get a family, sweetheart. We'll figure this out, together." His voice held a richness that Jamie hadn't heard before. It was comforting, genuine, like he was finally stepping into the person she always knew he could be, but somewhere amidst the warmth blossoming around them, Jamie could still feel the chilling cold of doubt. What did together really mean? It felt quakingly real now, but would it stand the weight of challenges to come? If they walked this path, it might unravel secrets they weren't prepared to face. As if answering her unspoken question, Robert's expression turned serious. "Maybe we need to talk to Lily's social worker tonight. We can't be naive about what this means." His brow furrowed, showing he understood that love, while powerful, wouldn't dull the sharp edges of reality. "But who's really going to help us?" someone in the back interjected. There it was again, that voice casting shadows over their hopeful moment. Jamie hated that they were out there, lurking, ready to pounce on their every weakness. "My aunt has experience. She has worked with children with special needs for years. She can help." Robert's suggestion cut through the tension. Jamie felt the warmth of possibility unfolding in layers. "But what do we say?" Jamie asked, wrestling her anxieties to the surface. "What if they don't think we're fit? What if they look at us and see just two scared people trying to connect?" "Then we show them," Robert insisted, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We show them with our actions. And if we fail together. But we must also believe in the love we share." The crowd listened in silence, processing the moment. Jamie felt a rush of emotion fill her chest. Could they really create something strong enough to withstand the scrutiny of others? And could Lily find a home in the unpredictable tides of their lives? Lily's small voice broke the silence again. "Will you love me forever?" Her question hung in the air like a fragile promise. Both Jamie and Robert exchanged looks, and in that fleeting moment, they both understood the weight of the choice they were making. "Forever," Robert promised, though Jamie saw the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. With each heartbeat, the decision loomed larger, not just about adopting Lily, but about building a real family against the odds. The crowd began to stir, murmurs filling the air. Some looked hopeful, others still incredulous. Jamie's determination solidified. "No matter what happens, we must fight for her. Not just tonight, but every day after." The fire in her spirit lit up the faces around her. Perhaps this was the moment they needed to rally together, to bridge the divide between fear and hope. As the atmosphere shifted, babies breathed life into collective resolve. However, just when Jamie thought they might move forward, the skeptical voice rang out again, louder now, laden with challenge. "What will you do when it gets too hard?" The laughter faded, and the crowd shifted, the air growing thick again. Jamie felt the weight of the question settle over them like heavy clouds. Could they navigate the inevitable storms? In that moment, Jamie's heart raced at the possibilities. They were stepping into the unknown, entwined in a complex journey, with no guarantees. But would love truly be enough to carry them through? What if she whispered to herself, the flicker of fear turning into a blazing question that could shatter the fragile hope they had just built? What if it wasn't enough? And with that, the tension snaked back in, leaving them staring down the possibility of failure, as questions lingered vulnerably in the air. The murmur in the room ebbed, giving way to a weighty pause. Jamie's eyes darted from face to face, searching for signs of agreement or doubt. She could feel the mounting pressure, each heartbeat echoing her fears. What if they were in over their heads? What if the skepticism in the air seeped into their determination? Robert finally broke the silence again, his voice cutting through the tide of uncertainty. "Listen," he said, rising to his feet with newfound energy. "We can't control what others think of us. What matters is what we think of us." The crowd hung on his words. Jamie sensed the shift, a stirring of courage rippling through the gathering. "But people are going to challenge us," someone countered, the familiar skepticism creeping back. "This isn't just a simple choice. It's a responsibility." "Yes," Robert replied firmly. "But it's also a privilege. To love and raise Lily is something we've been chosen for. We can't let fear overshadow that." Lily's small hand tugged on Jamie's shirt, pulling her back to the moment. The child's wide eyes shone with expectation. "You're going to fight for me, right?" "Oh, honey." Jamie knelt beside her, feeling the swell of emotion welling up again. "You better believe we will. Always." As the warmth of that promise settled in the air, Jamie noticed some in the crowd nodding. It was a tiny spark, but she seized it, letting it fan into a brighter flame. "We'll bring Lily into our lives," Jamie continued, standing taller now. "It'll be messy and complicated and sometimes overwhelming, but together we can embrace it. We have to believe that love is stronger than the doubts." Moments stretched on, charged with anticipation. Then, as the crowd digested Jamie's words, a voice from the back emerged again. "But what happens when that love isn't enough? When it starts to fade?" The doubt was like a stone dropped into the center of a still pond, sending ripples across their momentum. Jamie looked at Robert. She could feel the storm brewing in her own heart, but then she remembered moments of quiet laughter, that fragile joy in small things. "Every family faces challenges," Robert said, voice steady, taking her cue, "but that's where growth happens. That's where we'll learn to stand together. With Lily, we'll build something real, something lasting." Lily squeezed Jamie's hand tighter, like a lifeline. "I just want you to love me," she whispered, innocence wrapped around her words. "We do. We love you," Jamie declared, her heart swelling with a fierce protectiveness. The crowd was silent, some beaming with encouragement, others still wrestling with disbelief. As Jamie gazed into Lily's trusting eyes, she soon found herself struggling to hold on to that same certainty. The path ahead felt murky and uncharted. How would they confront the trials ahead? Would they be able to offer the consistency that Lily desperately needed? The chatter buzzed once more, voices rising and fading like waves, discussing logistics and plans. Meanwhile, Jamie slipped back into her thoughts until Robert's hand interlaced with hers, pulling her out. "Whatever comes, we'll handle it. Together." His eyes held a fierce resolve, reminding her of their shared commitment, and stirring something deep within her. Torn between hope and fear, she felt the urge to leap, to take that next step towards what felt like an exhilarating unknown, but just as she began to fully embrace that thrill, a sharp, familiar voice cut through the noise again. "And what if you decide to leave? It happens all the time. A new family, a lot of promises, then someone gives up." Jamie's heart sank. There it was, a shadow lurking over their fragile hope. A question that felt like a mountain now, demanding a response. "Do we have what it takes?" She wondered silently, the weight of uncertainty dragging at her heart. The room was holding its breath, all eyes on them, waiting for the truth that would determine everything. What if this moment was a tipping point, where fear was met with courage? Could they endure not just for themselves, but for Lily? With that haunting question floating in the air, Jamie suddenly felt both the heat of determination and the chill of doubt intertwine. What if they weren't ready to face the storm? But beyond that, what if they could find their true strength against those very odds? And as Jamie stared into the uncertain future, she knew one thing: they had to choose, and soon. Would they rise, or would they fall? The air grew heavier, thick with expectation as Jamie's thoughts spun. She could sense Lily's small fingers gripping her hand tighter, anchoring her to the present. It was as if the child felt the weight of the world pressing down, and Jamie wished more than anything to shield her from it. Robert coughed lightly, redirecting the energy in the room. "Look," he said, his voice steady but softening with empathy, "it's perfectly normal to doubt. We're all human. But what's more important is how we move forward from here. We want to walk away." Andy, an old family friend with skeptical eyes, leaned forward. "But what if one of you decides it's too much? Families aren't always fairy tales." A silence fell again, and that question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Jamie swallowed hard, her throat dry. Wouldn't it be so easy to let that doubt creep in, to give in to the fear? But then Lily looked up at her, eyes wide, full of fragile hope. "Mommy, you want to leave me, right?" The question struck Jamie like a lightning bolt. "No, sweetheart," she promised, her voice firm. "I'm here for you. We're all here." Robert nodded, backing her up as a wave of warmth surged through the room. "We're building a family here together with every step. We will fight for one another." With that promise, Jamie felt the currents of doubt begin to shift. Slowly, hands began to raise. Some lifted in solidarity, a few in hesitation. Every motion echoed a tiny universe of emotions. As people started to express their support, Jamie's heart began to beat a little easier. "What we create doesn't have to be perfect," she said, stepping further into the conversation. "It just has to be real, built on love and honesty." From the back, another familiar voice piped up. "It's not easy, you know. Love takes work." Jamie turned to face them head-on. "You're right. Sometimes it feels futile. Sometimes we may fail. But isn't that part of being a family? Learning, growing, and loving each other through thick and thin?" She saw Robert's face light up, matching her growing courage. "Love isn't just about the perfect moments. It's about getting through the hard times together," he said. As they spoke, Jamie observed the faces in the crowd. The tension began to ease, like a tightrope finally finding solid ground beneath. Some nodded, some clasped each other's hands, and others even wiped away tears. "Families aren't always related by blood," Jamie emphasized. "It's how we choose to care for each other. That's our legacy. That's what we'll share with Lily." She glanced at Lily, who was now smiling, her slight frown melting away into pure joy. In her small world, hope seemed to bloom. But as the words settled, Jamie remembered the lingering doubts. A small voice inside still questioned whether their love could endure in the face of challenges. Was she strong enough to be a mom? Then, unexpectedly, Robert reached for her hand, intertwining his with hers. A jolt of warmth surged through her. "Whatever happens, we face it together," he whispered, as if sensing her inner turmoil. The room seemed charged with energy again, individuals murmuring amongst themselves, and ideas swirling like autumn leaves dancing through the air. Before Jamie could share another thought, Andy raised his hand again, catching eyes with Jamie. "I want to hear it from each of you. Can you commit to this? To family?" The room fell silent, anticipation buzzing around them. Jamie glanced around, feeling eyes on her, waiting for her declaration. "Lily deserves a family that believes in her," she said, words pouring out with conviction. "We must fight for her, even when it gets rough. Lily is our light." A low murmur of agreement spread like wildfire, but Jamie sensed the unanswered question still churning in the room. What would that commitment really mean? Would they have the resilience to navigate tough waters when they finally arose? And as Jamie's heart quivered with anticipation, she wondered if they truly were ready for what lay ahead. The moment felt pivotal, but was this where they would find their strength, or would truth unveil? Unexpected trials? In the mounting silence, a new question echoed in her mind: was this just the beginning of a turbulent journey, or a path toward an incredible transformation? Jamie's pulse quickened as Andy's question hung in the air like a thin thread, taut and waiting to snap. She could already feel the weight of every gaze, 1,000 expectations cascading down on her. "Can you commit to this? To family?" It seemed so simple, yet each word contained the complexity of love and responsibility. She was ready to shout her answer, but each breath came heavy with uncertainty. Robert's hand felt warm and reassuring, but did that mean they could weather whatever storms lay ahead? "Family," as she started, her voice trembling slightly. "It's a promise. A promise to show up, even when it's hard. To accept one another's flaws and celebrate each other's strengths. We may not be perfect, but we can be strong together." The murmurs grew in intensity, resonating with acceptance and empathy. Jamie could sense a shift in the energy of the room, a collective breath, as if everyone had just exhaled weeks of worry and grief. "We've all got our stories," she continued, emboldened by the support surrounding her. "Some may be darker than others. But together, we can create a brighter future. For Lily." With those words, hope began to sparkle, flickering through the crowd. A brave voice from the corner shouted out, "We need more of that belief. More love." A wave of nods and cheers followed, igniting Jamie's spirit. Was this what it felt like to build a family? A vague but comforting sense swirled inside her, a promise that they weren't just standing on shifting sand, but rather on solid ground they would build together. But even as the warmth flowed through her heart, Jamie couldn't help but feel the tug of doubt. But what if it doesn't work? That voice inside her echoed again, but she pushed it away. Every family faces challenges. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. But it's our choice to carry each other through the storms. The words spilled out, frantic but full of intention. Each of us has a role to play. And we cannot afford to shy away from the hard conversations, like how to support not just all of us but Lily. Lily shifted in her seat, her small smile a visible lifeline, a reminder of the unconditional love residing within these walls. Jamie met her gaze, the child's eyes shimmering with trust and faith, and that melted away any lingering doubts. Andy straightened up, his skepticism visibly waning. "Well, if we're all in, let's discuss how to show Lily she's not alone. We need a plan." "That's right." Robert chimed in, enthusiasm growing in his voice. "We should create a support system. Meetings, group outings building around Lily's strengths while caring for her needs." As the crowd buzzed with new ideas, Jamie felt the warmth of unity surge again. It was intoxicating, a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in years. Each suggestion tossed into the air felt like an affirmation of hope. Families weren't just about sharing blood but about sharing love, time, and dedication. Then, a creaky chair pivoted her attention. A gray-haired lady, eyes glimmering, stood to speak. "You know what's missing from the talk?" she said, voice cracking ever so slightly. "We need to share our stories too. We've all faced challenges, just as much as Lily may face her own." Silence blanketed the room as everyone turned toward her. Jamie's heart raced. This was a powerful point. With every story told, they would weave a tapestry of resilience, together. They would emerge stronger, forging connections that could withstand anything life threw their way. When the woman finished, a ripple of agreement flowed as others began to share their own truths. One by one, stories of struggles and triumphs filled the room, each a raw testament to the strength of the human spirit. As the hours passed, Jamie realized they were no longer just strangers coming together to support a little girl. They were a team, a family. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope and daring pangs of joy, but just when the atmosphere couldn't feel any more charged with positivity, the door creaked open. All eyes turned, landing on a figure silhouetted in the hallway, a face Jamie recognized. It was James, someone from the past she never expected to see again, and as she caught sight of the shock and curiosity in his eyes, Jamie's heart raced again, this time with fear of what this revelation could change in the world they had just started to build. Would this new twist bring them closer together, or would it shatter the fragile bonds they had just forged? The room fell into a hush that felt heavy, layered with anticipation and apprehension. Jamie swallowed hard, her throat tight. James stepping through that door was like a gust of wind scattering the carefully laid leaves of a long-swept path. After all the hope she stirred among the strangers who were becoming family, how could this unexpected reunion change everything? James stood there, one foot poised forward, uncertainty etched across his handsome face. Just how many memories surged in Jamie's mind, needing to be sorted, understood? The laughter they once shared, the dreams they had sketched in twilight, the weight of it all pressed against her chest. Jamie? He finally spoke, his voice breaking through the stillness like a crack of thunder. It was a simple acknowledgement, but it felt monumental, like all the seasons of their shared past rushed to envelop the present. Yes, it's me, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. What are you doing here? He glanced around, vague familiarity flashing in his eyes as he swept over the faces in the room, the rising acceptance, the warmth. I came to see how Lily was doing. Is that okay? Every instinct in Jamie urged her to tell him this wasn't the place for his curiosity, not now when they were so close to creating something special together. But the flicker of vulnerability in his gaze made her hesitate. If he really cared, could she afford to turn him away? Well, she felt Andy's stare burn into the side of her head, but she wasn't sure what to say. The room was still, the spectators caught in a breathless moment of shared uncertainty. Lily's doing well, she finally managed. We were just discussing how to support her, how to be a family. The honest words slipped from her lips, the truth hanging like a promise. James shifted on his feet, then nodded almost imperceptibly, absorbing what she said. But that was just the beginning, there lay something unsettling beneath his cool exterior. A hunger, an urgency, she wasn't quite ready to confront. I've heard things. He took a step closer, vulnerability transforming into urgency. Things about her that, well, they made me realize that I couldn't stay away anymore. What things? A chill ran down Jamie's spine, the emotional bond she had just begun to nurture suddenly feeling fragile, as if it could shatter beneath scrutiny. A chorus of whispers began circulating through the crowd, a mix of curiosity and suspicion. People shifted in their seats, straining to hear. James pressed on, desperation building in his voice. I think Lily deserves to know the truth about her family. About what she is and where she comes from. Lily looked between them, vibrant curiosity dancing across her features, completely unaware of the storm brewing around her simple presence. This was the moment Jamie had feared. The unraveling of their tight-knit gathering might be imminent, splintering the bond they had just begun to form. Lily's just fine, Jamie countered, trying to maintain control of the situation. This isn't the time or place to talk about past mistakes or family secrets. Isn't it? James countered, his words like heavy stones rippling through the water. Hiding things only makes it harder. She deserves all of us, and she will find out eventually. Slicing through the emotional tension, Jamie could feel the custodians of her newfound family start to stir. Andy's hand clenched. Robert's jaw tensed. They mirrored her turmoil as they sensed the fragility of everything they had built beginning to quake under the weight of secrets. The stakes suddenly seemed exorbitantly high, racing against the tide of emotions that threatened to crash and pull her under. She opened her mouth to retort but was halted by the sight of Lily, confusion shimmering in her bright eyes. Mom? Lily's sweet voice rang out, innocent and potent. In that instant, Jamie froze. All that uncertainty, fear, and hope coalesced into the singular realization that whatever James had to say might change everything, not just for her, but for Lily too. Lily, Jamie breathed, stepping toward her. Daughter, determination knitting itself into her bones. We'll talk. Whatever this is, we'll face it together. But faced with the certainty of that next step, Jamie didn't feel ready. What was the truth hiding in the shadows, waiting to emerge? And at what cost? The tension hung in the air thick enough to cut, and Jamie realized they were about to dive headfirst into a reality neither of them had prepared for. Would the past become a bridge to their future or a rift that would tear them apart? Jamie's heart raced. The room was a mixture of raw emotions, each face reflecting their own apprehensions and hopes. She could feel the weight of every eye on her, questioning, judging, expecting her to know what to do next. Lily reached for her hand, her small fingers wrapping around Jamie's with a trust that made her ache inside. Jamie offered her daughter a reassuring smile, though she felt anything but calm. "This isn't a conversation for everyone, James," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "Let us step outside. Please." James hesitated, but the urgency in his gaze pushed her to pull him along, away from prying eyes and straining ears. Out in the hall, the decorum of the gathering faded, the air thick with impending truths. "Jamie," he started. "You have to understand. Everything you've built here, it's based on, well, half-truths. Lily deserves the whole truth." She took a deep breath, searching his eyes for anything familiar. A part of her wanted to lose herself in the memories they shared, the nights filled with laughter and dreams, but another part knew that those times felt like another lifetime altogether. "What are you saying? You've just waltzed back in like you own the place. What do you know about my life?" His expression softened, and for the slightest moment, the tension between them shifted. "I know that you've always been strong, Jamie. But I also know that you've carried a weight alone for too long." "What do you know about weight?" She snapped, feeling something raw claw at her chest, furious and protective. "You left. You don't get to come back and lecture me about being strong." He flinched as if she had struck him, a crack in the facade he built. "I know I messed up. I regret every moment I wasn't there for you and for Lily. But I can't stand by, knowing she's kept in the dark about what's rightfully hers. Lily's fine. She's with family. We've worked hard to build this life," Jamie urged, her voice echoing off the sterile walls. "Is it really a family if the truth is kept from her?" James challenged, his tone aching with sincerity. "What happens when she finds out from someone else? All the questions, the hurt that will come crashing down on her on you." Jamie bit her lip. The thought of Lily facing betrayal fueled a deep fear she had kept at bay. "You don't know what you're asking. You don't understand the risks." "Then let me help," he replied, a fire igniting in his gaze. "You can't face this alone anymore. You don't have to." Lily's voice echoed through the hallway, pulling at Jamie's heart. "Mom? Are you okay?" Every instinct screamed at Jamie to protect her little girl, to shield her from the storms of the past. But she knew that truth, no matter how painful, often had a way of finding its way in. James moved closer, lowering his voice. "Are you going to keep lying to her? Or are you ready to face the things that have haunted you both?" Suddenly, the swirling turmoil inside Jamie crystallized into something she didn't expect. Hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to turn this truth into something good for Lily. But at what cost? "Let us talk to her," Jamie said at last, her determination buoyed by an unexpected kind of strength. "Together." Just as she reached for the door, a loud commotion erupted from the other side, breaking the fragile moment. The sound of raised voices and the signature tone of annoyance from one of her family members filled the air, sending a rush of anxiety through her. "What now?" Jamie muttered under her breath, dread pooling in her stomach. She turned back to James, uncertainty flickering in her gaze. "I hope you're ready to face this." As they stepped toward a new chapter, the unexpected clash of destinies hung in the air. What awaited them beyond the threshold? Would the family they built be strong enough to endure when the truth collided with the fragile bond that held them together? The tension in the room felt palpable as Jamie and James re-entered the gala hall. It buzzed with hushed whispers, the remnants of the earlier conversation swirling around them. But now, there was a new excitement in the air, a tentative hope blossoming as guests soaked up what they had witnessed. Jamie sensed their anticipation, waiting for a spectacle that might either crumble or solidify everything she fought for. Yet Lily stood at the center of it all, her innocent eyes wide with curiosity, unfazed by the complexities swirling around her. "Mom, who's that?" she asked, tugging at Jamie's sleeve. The question struck a chord, laced with both healing and apprehension. The little girl's unwavering trust shifted Jamie's focus back to her purpose. "That's James, sweetheart. A friend from the past." She could see Lily processing the information, her brow furrowing in thought, but her gaze remained steadfast, unwavering. "And James is here to help," Jamie added, casting a glance at him, searching for assurance. The weight of the moment began to forge a bond of unity between them, something neither had realized was necessary. As Jamie spoke, she felt Robert slipping in beside her, his brow furrowed with concern. "What is going on?" he asked, but his voice was supportive, ready to engage. "We need to speak to Lily. There are things she needs to know," Jamie replied, heart racing. The room seemed to shrink as she prepared to take that crucial step forward. She felt stronger with Robert by her side. In unison, they turned to face the crowd. Jamie saw a mix of emotions swirling through every face: curiosity grappling with apprehension, excitement blending with doubt. "Everyone," Jamie's voice rang clear through the murmurs, silencing the room. "We need your help to build a family that truly embraces love, honesty, and support." She could feel the eyes on her, heavy with skepticism, yet bursting with newfound promises. Her voice steadied. "You've seen our journey, the bond Lily and I share. But I stand here today to open a new chapter, one that includes James, who has returned to help us navigate truths that can no longer remain in the shadows." Lily's eyes widened at the mention of secrets, shifting uncomfortably in her chair. "What truth?" she asked, her voice small but filled with the strength of a child who knew she deserved answers. Just as Jamie took a breath, ready to reveal the complexities, it was Robert who stepped beside her, a look of confidence etched on his face. "The truth, Lily, is the strongest thing we can offer. It's how we create real bonds, the kind that last." Jamie watched as Robert's words began to weave a circle of support, the crowd's energy shifting toward acceptance. She felt her heart race, an echo of vulnerability, but also an invitation to explore strength in numbers. "Lily, you are so loved," Jamie continued, kneeling down beside her chair. "We want to ensure you never have to face anything alone. Together, we'll uncover your story." "Will it be scary?" Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly. Jamie saw the flicker of uncertainty cross her face, and her heart ached to comfort her. "There may be some confusing parts," Jamie replied, with conviction in her voice, "but love always shines through, I promise." James, standing beside Jamie, nodded deeply. "And we've all been through so much. We will be right here for you, holding your hand through everything." "I can do it," Lily said with a determined nod, her small hand gripping Jamie's tightly. The shift in the room was palpable. In that moment, everyone around them seemed to lean in, a community forming around them that felt rich, full, and supportive. Just then, a voice from the back chimed in, recognition dawning. "Is this why your mom has been so strong?" It was Andy, his gaze curious, his tone suddenly warm and inviting. "Because she's building a new family, a new story?" Jamie felt the thrum of connection knitting itself into the atmosphere. "Exactly. We're all about to embark on this journey together. And with your support?" The crowd erupted into murmurs of excitement and thoughtful nods, as if they were collectively awakening to the possibilities ahead. "Together, we can show Lily that she's never alone while showing her a family isn't just about blood, it's about commitment, love, and resilience," Robert reiterated, broadening the narrative. A ripple of agreement danced through the room, with voices rising and interlacing an echo of hope. Atop that inspiration, Jamie felt the undeniable warmth of something shifting inside of her. A sacred promise began to bloom, each thread in the interconnected web she had woven around Lily and Robert. It would stretch and bend but not break together. And as laughter and chatter filled the air, Jamie realized that while uncertainty could still nag at the edges, hope intertwined through every heart, binding them to the metamorphosis unfolding before them. They were nurturing the roots of acceptance, freedom, and vulnerability that would feed the soul of their new family. "Welcome, James," Jamie said with a newfound kindness that enveloped her heart. "Let us start this journey together." With that commitment, her pulse steadied, and she found her rhythm a promise that would resonate beyond the walls of the gala, intertwining their lives into a beautiful tapestry of love. In that shared commitment, they were no longer just Jamie, Robert, and Lily. They were a family, woven together through challenges and joys alike. As the evening transitioned from dusk to night, Jamie saw smiles spill like sunshine, illuminating faces eager to become part of the journey. In that moment, she knew they had the strength to navigate whatever storms lay ahead, hand in hand, united in love. And just like that, hope crystallized, a promise that the impossible was indeed possible together. They would fearlessly embrace the world. Now, as I finish this incredible narrative, listen closely. If you're inspired by this transformation and deeply connected to Jamie and Lily's journey, you need to subscribe now. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss another exclusive story. Leave a like right this moment to feed the algorithm and let this powerful message spread. And don't you dare wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how love reshapes our world. Your support is what recognizes the importance of this platform. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotional journey. Let us make our bond even stronger, together.